I want to tell you a story. A story about a man who was so poor that he had to sell his best friend just to survive. A man who was rejected over and over again, told he talked funny, looked strange, and would never make it as an actor. A man who wrote a movie script in 3 days and was offered a life-changing amount of money for it, but said no because they would not let him be the star. And today, that man is one of the most famous actors in the history of cinema. His name is Sylvester Stallone, and his story will change how you think about rejection, about money, and about what it really means to believe in yourself when nobody else does. Chapter 1. Born Fighting. Sylvester Enzio Stallone was born on July 6, 1946, in the Hell's Kitchen neighborhood of New York City. His birth was not easy. The doctors had to use 2 forceps to pull him out, and the forceps severed a nerve in his face. It left the lower left side of his face permanently paralyzed. His lip drooped. Part of his tongue had no feeling, and it gave him the slurred speech that people would later mock him for. From day one, Stallone carried a mark that the world could see. His parents fought constantly. His father was a hairdresser from Italy. His mother was a tough, outspoken woman who could be extremely harsh. The household was filled with anger. There was very little warmth. When Stallone was 9 years old, his parents divorced. He was sent to live with his father for a while, then moved between relatives. He attended more than a dozen schools. He was expelled from several of them. Teachers called him slow. Other children called him ugly because of his face. And this is the first lesson. The circumstances of your birth do not decide the direction of your life. Stallone did not choose his paralyzed face. He did not choose the chaos around him, but he did choose to keep moving forward. Your starting point is not your finish line. It never is. Chapter 2. The Kid Nobody Wanted. Stallone struggled through school. He was not a strong student. He was not popular. He got into fights. He spent time in a special school for troubled teenagers. By every measure that society uses to predict success, he was a failure. But there was one place where he felt alive: the movie theater. He would sit in the dark and watch films for hours. He did not just watch them, he studied them. He memorized the dialogue. He watched how the actors moved, how they delivered their lines, how they made the audience feel something. And something inside him started to burn. He wanted to be up there on that screen. He wanted to make people feel the way those movies made him feel. When he told people about his dream, they laughed. They said, "Look at your face. Listen to your voice. Nobody wants to see that on a movie screen." And this is the second lesson. Your dream does not need permission from other people. It does not need approval. It does not need a stamp of validation from the world. If it burns inside you, it is real, and that is enough to begin. Chapter 3. The Struggling Actor. After finishing school, Stallone moved to New York City to become an actor. But acting jobs did not come. He auditioned for everything: small roles, background parts, commercials. He was rejected again and again and again. He had no money. He slept at the Port Authority bus terminal because he could not afford a place to live. He ate whatever he could find. He took odd jobs just to stay alive. He cleaned cages at the Central Park Zoo. He worked as an usher in a movie theater, watching other actors live the dream he wanted so badly. At his lowest point, he could not even afford to feed himself. But he kept going. He did not stop auditioning. He did not stop believing. Every rejection carved something into him. Not weakness, strength. Each no made the yes inside him louder. And this is the third lesson. Struggle is not the enemy of success. Struggle is the training ground. Every difficult moment you survive makes you stronger, sharper, and more prepared for the opportunity that is coming. Do not run from hard times. Let them build you. Chapter 4. The Night That Changed Everything. One evening in March of 1975, Stallone watched a boxing match on television. It was the famous fight between Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner. Wepner was a massive underdog. Nobody gave him a chance. But he went round after round with Ali, refusing to stay down, refusing to give up. He lasted almost the entire fight. Stallone sat there, watching, and something exploded inside him. He saw himself in Wepner. He saw every rejection, every failure, every person who had ever told him he was not good enough. And he thought, I'm going to write a movie about a guy like that, a nobody who gets one shot and refuses to waste it. He went home and wrote the script in 3.5 days. He barely slept. He barely ate. The words poured out of him like they had been waiting his entire life to be written. The script was called Rocky. And this is the 4th lesson. Inspiration does not knock politely. It crashes through the door. But you have to be ready. Stallone was ready because he had spent years suffering, years auditioning, years being told no. All of that pain became fuel. Your struggles are not random. They are preparing you for a moment that has not arrived yet.
Chapter 5. The Offer He Refused. Stallone took his script to producers, and something incredible happened. They loved it. They absolutely loved it. A major studio offered him $125,000 for the script. That is over $700,000 in today's money. For a man who was completely broke, it was a fortune. But there was one condition. They did not want him to star in the movie. They wanted a real movie star. They suggested Robert Redford. They suggested Ryan O'Neal. They said, we will buy the script, but you are not the guy. Stallone said no. They raised the offer to $250,000. He said no again. They went even higher. He kept saying no. His wife at the time was furious. They could not pay their rent. They could not pay their electricity bill. Their heat had been turned off. And he had just turned down more money than either of them had ever seen. But Stallone said something that would define his entire life. He said, if I sell this script and somebody else plays Rocky, I will regret it for the rest of my life. I wrote this story because it is my story, and I have to be the one to tell it. And this is the 5th lesson. There are moments in life when the easy choice and the right choice are not the same thing. The easy choice will pay you now. The right choice will pay you forever. Know the difference.
Chapter 6. Butkus. But before the studio finally agreed to let him star in the movie, Stallone had to make the most painful decision of his life. He was so broke that he could not afford to feed his dog. His dog's name was Butkus, a big, lovable bull mastiff. Butkus was his best friend, his only friend during some of the darkest days of his life. Stallone stood outside a liquor store and sold Butkus for $25. He has said in interviews that he walked away crying. He stood there and watched the man take his dog, and he cried like a child. Weeks later, after the studio finally agreed to let him star in Rocky for a much smaller price, Stallone went back to that liquor store to find the man who had bought Butkus. He found him. He offered him $100 to buy the dog back. The man said no. Stallone offered $500. The man said no. He finally paid $15,000 and gave the man a small role in the movie to get Butkus back. And if you watch Rocky, you will see Butkus. He is right there in the movie, running alongside Rocky on those famous steps. And this is the sixth lesson. Sometimes life asks you to give up what you love the most before it gives you what you need the most. But if you keep fighting, you can earn it all back. Hold on, even when it hurts.
Chapter 7. The Underdog Who Won. Rocky was made on a tiny budget of just over $1 million. The studio gave Stallone almost nothing to work with. He filmed most of it on the streets of Philadelphia with no permits, using real people in the backgrounds who had no idea they were in a movie. The movie was released in November 1976. It earned over $225 million worldwide. It won 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. It was nominated for 10. Stallone himself was nominated for both Best Actor and Best Screenplay. The kid with the paralyzed face, the slurred speech, the kid nobody wanted, was now standing on the biggest stage in Hollywood. Rocky became more than a movie. It became a symbol that ordinary people can do extraordinary things if they refuse to give up. Stallone went on to create one of the most successful film franchises in history, 6 Rocky films, multiple Rambo films. He became one of the biggest action stars the world has ever seen, from sleeping in a bus terminal to being worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And this is the 7th lesson. The size of your beginning does not determine the size of your ending. Rocky was made with almost no money. Stallone started with almost no advantages, but both he and his character proved the same thing. It is not about how hard you hit. It is about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Chapter 8. Why this story matters to you. So why does this story matter to you? Because right now, you might be in your own version of sleeping in a bus terminal. You might be hearing your own version of "you are not good enough." You might be looking at your dream and wondering if it is even worth trying. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been told that your dream is unrealistic? Have you ever been rejected so many times that you started to believe the rejection was right? Have you ever had to sacrifice something you loved because you had no other choice? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then you are exactly where Stallone was. And look at what happened next. Here's what I need you to understand. Rejection is not a verdict. It is a redirect. Every person who told Stallone he was not good enough was wrong. Not kind of wrong, completely wrong. The same is true for the people who doubt you. So what can you do right now? First, write down your dream, not in your head, on paper. Make it real. Make it something you can see every single day. Second, stop waiting for permission. Nobody is going to come to your door and say, "It is your turn now." You have to decide that it is your turn. Third, protect your vision. There will be people who offer you shortcuts, easier paths, comfortable alternatives, but if those paths take you away from what you truly want, they are not gifts, they are traps. Stallone could have taken the money and lived comfortably, but he would have spent the rest of his life watching someone else play Rocky, and that thought was worse than being broke. What is your Rocky? What is the thing you would regret giving away? Hold on to it.
Chapter 9. Your One Shot. Sylvester Stallone was not born talented. He was not born lucky. He was not born into privilege. He was born with a paralyzed face and a family that could not stay together. He was expelled from schools, rejected from auditions, and told again and again that he did not have what it takes. But he had one thing that nobody could take away from him. He believed in his story. He believed in it so deeply that he was willing to starve for it, to sell his best friend for it, to turn down a fortune for it. And when the world finally gave him his one shot, he did not waste it. You are going to get your shot. Maybe not this week, maybe not this month, but it is coming. And when it arrives, the only thing that matters is this: are you ready? Have you done the work? Have you stayed faithful to the thing that burns inside you? Do not let the world tell you what you are worth. Do not let your circumstances write your story. You are the author. You hold the pen. Your story is not over. The best chapters have not been written yet. I will see you in the next video.